What's up, guys? So, just gonna get rid of this shit. Get the screen shared. Hope everybody's having a good Easter weekend. If you're celebrating or if you're just enjoying time off. Just put a quick announcement. So guys, I just put a couple new PDFs in the PDF section, just dealing with H4 counter with M15 pro trend example, H4 counter with pro trend counter order flow. So I'm going to briefly go over them towards the end of this session. And I'll also make a little bit of like a little video explaining all the individual cases for it. And yeah, I mean, I think everybody's pretty well got it now, but I just want to, again, just kind of re-clarify things and make sure that everybody's sort of on the same page. It's obviously foundational to how we interpret the market with this specific strategy. So let's see, Discord and announcements. Okay, so, and I'm also going to do a small series on structure, obviously on respected timeframes. Most of you guys know that we basically just look at structure in terms of H4 and M15. So yeah, well, I'll do another little series on that and kind of get those things squared away for us today and tomorrow, so that we have just some sort of like foundation of like, okay, like this is the way that we view it in these specific circumstances, et cetera, yada, yada. Okay, let's jump into this. Yeah, it's 2 o'clock. We're good to go. Okay, so first things first, looking at the sort of higher time frame here, it's pretty simple to see what's happening. I mean, we're making a series of highs, lows, lows, highs, lows, highs, lows, et cetera, et cetera. Very clear downtrend. So what I think is going to happen next is we're likely to enter into a pullback phase. It's kind of like the next sort of region that we would look to really kind of capitalize on. And I'm going to show you how I sort of interpret these things. So if you look over to like the left-hand side over to here, you can see that, over the course of time, if I was to just kind of map out the bottoms of all of these pullbacks, and we kind of touched on this prior a little bit, but you can see that we're reacting to unmitigated demand levels. Now, this whole downtrend sort of started when we failed to take out this high, right? Which essentially leaves this as a weak low. And if we zoom out even further, you're going to see that this is just a larger complex pullback on like a monthly chart. And more than likely, all of these lows are actually going to get taken. Now, I'm not going to get into monthly and stuff like that. There's really not a whole lot of value for us as session or day trading sort of based approach. But nonetheless, it's good to just kind of occupy your subconscious with just kind of what the next phase in the market is. And for me, the next phase is very simple. We've now basically just broken structure, daily structure. Now we haven't had a candle close below it, but I think it's pretty evident that we're going to see some sort of a push right now. where can we sort of expect pullbacks from, right? And like that's kind of like the the question that we're going to circulate back in our head for the next week or so, and try to approach the market with some caution to be able to capitalize on the proper counter trend sort of moves. So the way that I'm sort of viewing this right now is I'm just going to basically look over at this specific piece of price in the middle, and yeah, just sort of decipher what's going on. So right now you can see where we're sort of laying within. So this is the demand right here that we had most recently basically seen our pullback off of. So I would say, the next reasonable spot looks to be probably in this area that took liquidity, and it was obviously at the origin of the move. Now, how far we're going to pull back, I mean, it's impossible to know. The general rule of thumb that I like to sort of use is that if we break daily structure, typically we will pull back to daily structure, right? Breaking daily structure, pull back into daily structure, right? Or at the very least, we're going to pull up into our higher time frame premium and discount and all that sort of fun stuff. So yeah, as it sits right now, I mean, sells, because we have more of like a day trader sort of approach primarily. We can still look for continuations. I mean, it's not optimal to start looking for continuations this deep in price for the sells, but it's not impossible to do either. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go to the 4 hour and I'm going to zoom over to our demand zone over to the left hand side, and just kind of make a little bit more sense for us. I would say that reasonably we could see, a nice little piece of demand that in fact takes liquidity. It's at the origin of the move. So this is kind of like the area that I would probably have the most interest in to kind of watch for some sort of a decent pullback that we could potentially capitalize on with our flow chart models. But yeah, I mean, we don't really know for certain. It's just like we're going to look for criteria within this POI, right? So the POI is going to gain relevance based off of the delivery into and away from. Everybody understand how we got here so far? Should be pretty simple, I think. So yeah, I mean, like I said, like it's basically like you can see that we have like there's a pretty good move to still capitalize on here. In terms of the amount of pips available to come down into this region. Like, I mean, you can see there's like a 90, we'll call it 100. If we come into the center of this, we got about 150 pip range that we can essentially capitalize on still, depending on, of course, all the different setups and what's going to be available. If you can just get rid of your line, whoever this is, the red, that'd be awesome. So like this is sort of like, I guess what they would call like
I'm trying, it's not letting me.
Oh, okay. No fucking drawing then, man. Jesus Christ.
My apologies.
No, it's all good. Give me a sec. I don't know where my toolbar went. Okay, annotate, clear. There. Good to go. Yeah, so like I was saying, like this is kind of like that next region that we should probably expect some form of a pullback. So these things take time. These things take quite a bit of time to really, establish when they're going to pull back and how hard they're going to pull back. So we have a bunch of different criteria that needs to sort of be met within this. But yeah, you can just see that, within, where's my shift button? From the time we actually tapped into this most recent demand over here, shift, and we actually, yeah, so this takes about a day and a half, we'll call it, or a day to really kind of show itself. So you'll notice the same thing happens. And this is a 4 hour chart. You can see that, we've basically broken structure to the downside. We've come back up. Essentially, we've wicked the low, which is ideal. We want to see some form of sweep within our POI. Grab that first bit of inducement as the relevant liquidity to sort of take to be able to fuel our move into the opposing direction. And yeah, you can see once we chalk, we find out where we've chalked from, we mitigate, and away we go. So pretty simple, like our approach in terms of like profit taking and stuff like that. So if we come down into here, we get our 4 hour chalk or a 15-minute chalk, all these different things that we essentially try to capitalize on. Everything lines up perfectly, and we have liquidity to target. The idea or the theory is that really, like, when you get in near the bottom, depending on, of course, whether or not your session lines up with it and all these other external factors, the theory is that like really we're banking that like you have to remember that anytime we take a counter trend trade, we're taking it with the intention of taking the buys into our sells, right? So when we have that at like the forefront of what we're actually looking to do and how we're trying to capitalize on the market, basically like we would only be looking to basically take sells above this region, right? Like this is technically our gray zone. Obviously, like we can still consider zones within this to here to here, all this kind of fun stuff. But the bottom line is that we're banking on, if we get all of the confirmations that we need, that we can essentially take a buy into these levels, right? So you're going to take some profits along the way. Of course, you're going to take nice heavy partial at a structural high, all these kind of things, especially once order flow is shifted. But yeah, the bottom line with this is like, I mean, you can pretty well, depending on where you get in and how aggressive you get in, you can hold these counter trend moves, especially when we break daily structure, pretty hard, because like, I mean, there's lots of room for movement. There's lots of room for movement. There's, again, lots of room for movement. Like you can see like the pullbacks, like we break daily structure, we come back and we usually mitigate the 50% of the actual move itself. So don't forget to keep, like, I know we talk a lot about lower time frame stuff because we do have, like I said, that sort of like that session based tone when we get involved in the market, and that's primarily because most people that are getting funded or attempting to get funded or trying to sustain funding, you got to take profits off the table, and a lot of times we get into drawdown rules and shit like that. So to make a long story short, bottom line is the next reasonable area for a pullback would likely be something in here. And I think we can all sort of agree on that. So is there money to be made from here to here? Of course there is. But yeah, this deep in price, I mean, ultimately the better move, in my opinion, or the more probable move rather, and again, don't take this out of context, but the better move is to wait for some form of pullback, right? We're pretty deep in price. Now, of course, like we've only wicked the low, so we could very easily see a retracement back up to here, and we could then crash back down, right? So we just need to be able to watch and monitor price, what's happening in these regions. But ultimately, the better trade or the trade of the week is kind of what we're classifying this. Ideally, will come in here with the right confirmation. So again, from the higher time frame perspective, we are in the process of breaking the daily low. We could go quite a bit lower. We could just completely discredit this entire region, and we might have to look for something a little bit further below. But the bottom line is this is the next reasonable area that we could potentially see criteria met for some form of pullback. Any questions about this, or is everything pretty clear? Give me a 1 if you're with me, and a 2 if you need to ask a question about this specific piece that we've just talked about. Cool. These are going to get shorter and shorter every week. There's like, I mean, man, we just got to keep things simple moving forward. I don't want to get too wordy. I don't want to, have all of these like competing narratives and shit like that. Bottom line is the best trade with the right confirmations, of course, would come from this region. And then obviously, like, this is a structural high. This is a structural low right now. There's no getting around it. We have not closed below the daily low, so we cannot assume that we will pull back to anything up in here as of yet. Once we close below, then we can assume that we can come back up into probably this bigger supply range. Okay. So I am going to take a few minutes to basically go over to, is the market open for the next London session since it's Easter? I'm not exactly sure. To be honest with you, I haven't, I have no plans of trading tomorrow or today rather. And yeah, I'm just enjoying some time off. So I would suggest, anytime there's a long weekend, guys, I mean, shit, take some time for you, get away from the charts, let the dust sort of settle. It is in fact a holiday. Depending, I don't know if all financial institutions see it as a holiday, like the big holiday is on Friday, but nonetheless, there are definitely companies and corps around the world that do celebrate Easter on the Monday as well. Okay, so there you go. Most of Europe, awesome. So yeah, just keep that in mind. And honestly, the way that I view long weekends, I mean, I come from kind of like a blue collar background where long weekend is a long weekend. It's a time to either spend time with family, drink beer, go out and eat a bunch of food, whatever the fuck you want to do. But the bottom line is you don't need to be on the charts. I would set like a marker probably on this POI, and then just kind of close my eyes, you know what I mean? And just stay away. If and when we hit the POI, we get a bunch of criteria and that happens tomorrow for whatever reason, sure, look to maybe get interested. But ultimately, we get criteria in here, we're going to look to probably take some form of continuation anyways. We want to make sure that order flow is actually confirmed shifted and that we have reason for price to actually move in the counter trend pullback phase, right? So anyways, just kind of ranting along here. Don't be scared to take some time off, guys. I'm a huge advocate for spending time off the charts. The more time you spend on the charts in real time, I'll tell you right now, man, you're just you're itching to take a trade. You don't get a drug addict to sit in front of a bag of drugs and tell them that they got to quit. You know what I mean? Like you gotta get away from it, right? So don't be scared to take some time for yourself. Okay, so I'm going to just sort of jump over to where's the PDF section, and I just want to close this. I'm just going to open these really quick, so bear with me. 2, 3, 4. Okay, so let me bring that over to the left. And now I need to share that. Where is my share button? Voila. Okay, so, oops. Just want to confirm that my Safari is open right now with some different examples. Just give me a 1 if you can see that, please. Okay, cool. Okay, so I just posted this in the PDF section. I'm going to do like a little follow-up series with it. These are not perfect examples, or rather these are perfect examples. Obviously, this is not the way that it sort of lays out in real time, but kind of get the gist of it. I just wanted to kind of clarify a few things. So the gray lines in these specific examples are going to represent sort of like swing structure within the 4-hour legs. Okay, very, very simple. Our models that we use, essentially, we cover reversals, right? This is a reversal, this is a reversal, this entire thing is a reversal, this is a reversal, this is a reversal. So reversals happen on respected timeframes, right? So when you look at the flow chart, give me a second, let me get that pulled up too, so that we can sort of talk through it. And again, I think people just make things a little bit too complicated with the flow charts. They're meant to be really simple, and maybe I'm just a fucking dummy for how they're written or whatever it might be. But I just want to kind of put this thing to bed again and try to make sure that everybody's on the same page. So pro trend, let's open this guy. Okay, 2 seconds. Let me just get that on my other side of my monitor. Okay, so start here. Pro trend. Identify M15 structure. Okay, or sorry, H4 structure. H4 structure right now is sitting here to here. Okay, very, very simple. Identify M15 structure, highest and lowest points. Okay, so let's argue that like we're looking to take a trade within here and we're sort of cut off here. This bit of price hasn't happened, right? So ultimately, what do we need to happen? Well, we need to identify an M15 to H4 POI, right? So we've got that H4 POI is here, right? We've, sorry, now we've got an M15 POI here rather. This is the area that we're looking to trade away from. So right now we can assume that we are trading, even though we're trading against the 4-hour flow, we are pro. Does everybody understand that this is pro order flow on the 15-minute, and it is a pro structure move? So when we talk about, okay, now we've broken this high like this, and we basically come into here now, we are coming down into a pro structure, pro order flow move. Up until like everything switches once we get to an area that we would actually want to trade short from, right? Once we actually get to an area that we want to trade short from, and we start reversing, and we start to break bits of demand, or sorry, demand on the way down. It looks something like this. Then we're going to start to say, okay, well, what is the actual move that we're trying to capitalize on? And you have to remember that, like, we're not trying to take any sort of pro trend M15 bullish move when we're getting this deep in price. We're trying to get those down here. Our entire modeling system is based on catching the bottoms on the first confirmation. If not the second confirmation, usually happens within, like, we're going to get this schematic, and we'll be able to play at least one portion of the schematic, whether it be the confirmation, the double confirmation, or the triple confirmation, whatever it is, within one of our sessions. And that's what we're sort of banking on. Yeah, on the 15, exactly. Do we still have the move as pro if we are counter an H4 supply, not necessary at the premium? Can you cue your mic on, Jet, if you wouldn't mind?
So I mean, somewhere here around the leg. Yeah, if price should come here and return back, do we see?
1 second, I got to turn the volume up. I can barely hear you.
Okay.
Okay, can you say that again?
Yeah, I mean, okay, we are taking it as pro trend so far. If we encounter a H4 move, some H4 supply somewhere here, and it comes down to here, do we still see this as pro trend to take out?
So let me get to that, because I actually have a few other examples that I'm going to bring up all up here in my tabs, and I have examples of that specific thing because I knew somebody was going to ask. Cool.
Okay, cool.
Thanks, brother. Okay, so can we put this to bed with this specific setup on this being pro trend, pro order flow with how it sits right here? Is everybody okay with that? I know we're kind of backtracking, but this strategy is so simple, and people make it so complicated. Not very many of you guys, but some people, they just have a hard time with it, and it's cool. I'm going to keep refreshing. I'm going to keep finding better ways to explain this, simpler ways, I hope. But the bottom line is like, this is our model for this. Okay. Yes. Yes. If we don't react to something relevant. Exactly. I complicate the shit out of it too much. So let's try to put that to bed right now. Okay. So right now, even though, like, and if you look over at the flow chart, the M15 Pro trend flow chart, you'll see it says identify the H4 structure, pro trend or counter trend, does not matter, because the bottom line is that the only thing that changes here is our targets, right? The only thing that changes is the targets. That's it. If we had this same schematic here, right, we would then take this into the week low, right? But we don't have a week high. So we're going to assume to take this into the premium of the leg to be able to take the buys into the sells. So every time price breaks a 15-minute structure before we consider a counter trend trade against the M15, we need to see a mitigation of a relevant POI. Yes, exactly. Does that make sense, Lucas? Awesome. Okay, so can we put this one to bed one last time? Any questions? Can I move on to the next example? Okay, we're going to move to the next one. Now, I only made these for the pro trend model, and you're going to see why in just a minute. Okay, so this is one of the examples, and this is a little bit controversial, but just hear me out. Don't ask any questions until the end. Let me go through the entire thing of explaining before you guys put questions out. I'll have a period where you guys can ask. Okay, so what does it say? It says in this example, we've had a bullish change of character. Okay, bullish change of character, right? Also known as what we like to call an order flow shift, right? So order flow shifted here because we've had the chalk, is essentially what it is. Order flow, like at its origin, is just a change of character. That's all we look at it as, okay? Once we break demand on the way down to the extreme POI from a relevant supply level, i.e. the higher time frame flip zone. So let's just say we have a demand to supply flip, and we come down into here. We use this as inducement. we are still trading this pro trend. Okay, this is still pro trend because I know this is an M15, like this, the way that it's drawn, this is an M15 structure point, but just look at this for what it is. Okay, and just hear me out. If we take, all I'm trying to illustrate here is that if we take a level of liquidity into the POY from a relevant supply level where we could assume that we would potentially look for sells, okay? All I'm saying is that right here, if we were to take this, and this does not take out this low, obviously we have a model for this, this would be counter the order flow because we've taken out a level of significant demand. There is no way to illustrate this perfectly. This is like a cookie cutter setup. I don't have chart examples right this second because I just built out these models this afternoon, but just see this for what it is. Essentially, if we have a demand failure that comes down into an origin of a POY that is left unmitigated from a supply level, even though the M15 is moving this way, because we've taken out a level of significant demand into the POY, we must assume that order flow is switched. From what I just said, without any questions, without reading into this diagram too far, does the concept of what I just introduced make sense? Yeah. Demand failure can become inducement for extreme demand. Exactly. Exactly. Mike, are you good, brother? You're my man with the questions usually. I just want to make sure that I'm explaining this right. You're kind of like my benchmark. Good stuff. Awesome. Okay, so I'm going to put this to bed, man. I'm not even going to go any further because we don't need to complicate it. All I'm saying here is that if we have a demand failure from a relevant supply, we can still assume that this is that we could trade this pro trend, provided that we're targeting something higher. Okay, it's all about targets. It's all about understanding where you sit within price, that this is going to become more and more relevant. And you have to remember something. Okay, our models, and when you look at these flow charts, our models are based around reversals. There's only two pivot points, right? There's this pivot, there's this pivot, there's this pivot, there's this pivot. So when we look to capitalize on these, we usually have 2 or 3 chances to actually get into them. And the schematics are always a little bit different. Sometimes we induce this, sometimes we just follow order flow. There's all kinds of different examples. So I just want to make sure, like I said, this is just a very, very cookie cutter version of order flow shifting. Even though it's still pro structure because we have not taken low, we are assuming that the next probable area is to take out some form of equal highs. Can price break the extreme demand from that flip zone, or is it unlikely? Of course it could. So more than likely what we would be looking to do here would be like, okay, well, now we've seen some form of order flow shift. Now we could look for confirmations here to also take sells. But again, don't read too far into this. Just read the example that I'm showing you. Okay. Don't get too wrapped up in all these different things. I just want you to see this for what it is. That's why I brought these examples. So can we put this to bed? Everybody okay with this? Give me a 1 and a 2 if you're just not understanding. Not about questions. Do you understand the concept? Okay, cool. So I'm going to move on to the next one. Just to show you the next sort of example here. So this is, you'll notice these are all the same fucking thing. Okay, the flow chart gets you to the same thing. Counter trend, if you look at the M15 counter trend flow chart, the purpose of that flow chart is basically this, okay? And I'm sure most of you have kind of come to the conclusion that we actually don't take counter trend trades. Everything gets us back into a pro trend state on the 15. Does everybody understand that about the counter trend? The counter trend model is like, okay, if we're here, what confirmations do we need to see to get in? Well, we need to see a 15-minute chalk. Well, that means that 15-minute structure is now like this, right? So in order for us to get involved, we need to look here. So doesn't that just bring us back to pro trend? So would it be easier, and answer 1 for yes and a 2 for no, would it be easier if I got rid of the entire counter trend flow chart and we only use the M15 pro trend? Okay, so that's what I'm going to do moving forward. to be honest with you. If you want to use the counter trend, be my guest. But I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to move over to just teaching the pro trend, because the counter trend model puts you into pro trend, right? We do not take trades that are not pro trend. The counter trend model just basically, like I said, all it does is if we are here and we are looking to take a trade that aligns with the higher time frame, we need to see a 15-minute chalk or a break of structure, correct? So if we need to see that, all that does is bring us into a pro trend state, because we end up pro trend anyway. So focusing on that would be way more benefit. Do you understand what I'm getting at? So that's the reason, like, I mean, again, I've tried to make it so simple by having the different models that it's become more complicated than it needs to be. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to put it to bed. We're going to get rid of the counter trend model, because ultimately we only have a model for pro trend once we hit an actual POI that's relevant to our trade idea. Everybody good with that? Nick, are you okay with that now? Good man. I see your one there. Good stuff. Okay, so in this case, in this example, once we get the bearish M15 change of character, right? Bearish 15 change of character, order flow is now switched, right? And structure has now shifted, right? So boom, boom, structure is shifted. Now structure only shifts, and you'll notice when can order flow shift? It can only shift when we hit. Somebody cue their mic and just say it. Just yell it out. Order
Valid
flow.
spot.
Relevant POI.
There we go. So if we get an order flow shift and we are like this right here, okay, and we don't tap into the POI, has order flow truly shifted here?
No.
No.
Cool. So the whole thing, everything we do is about POI selection, and that's why we have that POI flow chart. So if we were to look at this, and again, these are just super cookie cutter examples. The market is not this fucking perfect, as I'm sure all of you guys know. But the bottom line is we're going to assume it is in this circumstance. So we've hit the higher time frame POI. We've shown a change of character that creates a 15-minute POI. Ultimately, all we're doing now is looking for refined or keeping the 15. Within the 15-minute POI, we can look for a 1-minute chalk. If we hit a refined zone, we can then look for a 5-second. Capiche? So simple, same exact thing, opposing direction, man. It's like it's nothing is unique here. We would right now, if we were to take cells here, or if we were to take cells here, we would be pro trend with the H4, right? We would be pro trend with the M15, and we would be pro order flow on both. Everybody understand? Because higher time frame order flow is bearish, right? And M15 order flow has now realigned. Same thing. So with something like this, the only difference is now our targets. When we were trading this one down in here, okay, and we go back over to this guy, all we're doing is adjusting profit taking. Is there anything else that is different about this in comparison with our pro trend H4 model? There's nothing different. That's the whole point. And that's why in the actual flow chart where it says identify H4 structure, pro trend or counter trend, it literally doesn't matter, because the only part that matters is how we take profits on either of these trade setups, okay? With something like this, when you get in here and you go over to the pro trend model, the idea is like, I mean, obviously maybe not on a funded account, but once you build up a personal, which I'm assuming that should be the end goal for everybody, you can agree or disagree. Give me a 1 for agree and 2 for disagree. You get involved here. Is there any reason to take profits before this week low? There shouldn't be, like, there shouldn't be any reason to, like, that should be your target, right? We're going to play this into expectational order flow, right? So this is kind of like, yeah, I mean, fuck, it's such a cliche and it's so fucking cheesy to say it out loud, but this is literally the fractal nature of the market. Everything that you see on weekly, on daily, on 4 hour, on 1 hour. Like it does the same fucking thing on every time frame. And that's what I'm trying to instill here. Look at market structure. And the market structure that we really like to capitalize on is typically H4 and M15 as session traders. But once we break a daily low, okay, let's say this is a daily low, we break this, well, we can now trade this into the daily premium, right? Because if you break daily structure, we're going to respect daily structure. If this is a weekly structure and this is a weekly low, and we have a larger weekly trend that's like this, and we've now broken and we've now mitigated a monthly POI, we're going to probably follow weekly structure, right? It's, man, you just need to focus on the bigger, what is the bigger picture saying? And we ultimately set the tone with our lower time frames to be able to get involved in the trade, okay? Telling you, and I've been saying this how many fucking times, how many times do I say it? If you just focus on the one clean setup per week, you know, I don't want to name drop, but there's a couple guys on Instagram that over the course of the last couple days, bigger mentorship programs that really kind of discredited the people who take 1 to 100 hour trades, and quite frankly, it's because they don't understand how to do it. Like, dude, this is fucking easy shit. This is easy trading. I can bank 100-hour trades, counter trend, like it's my fucking job. I've done it. I've shown people, like, man, this is not hard stuff. Like it is so easy to capitalize on these moves if you just zoom out. Okay, I'm getting a little off topic here. So simple. The hard part is stopping myself from forcing trades and being patient for relevant POIs. Bro, you know what? I'm gonna tell you guys something right now. Like I still struggle with it too. Like don't get it twisted. Just because I'm up here talking into a microphone to you guys, don't get it twisted. It's easier said than done, and I can vouch for that. The bottom line is, yeah, forcing trades in the middle of ranges, in the middle of structure, that's where liquidity's top. Like that's where liquidity is being built, right? Like you have to understand that, like, that's where they want it built up, because they can take both sides. So you just need to understand that trading the edges of market structure, trading with the higher time frame narrative, man, it's so easy to trade. You just got to be like, just focus on one trade a week. That's it. That's all you got to do. Okay, let's get back into this. So in this example, once we get the bearish M15 chalk order flow shift, we would be trading the M15 pro trend, right? Right here, pro trend, right here, pro trend, pro order flow. Cool. Session trading kind of makes you focus on now, though. Long way to train my mind for when I identify the, yeah, man, 100%, 100%. I got you. It's a whole other aspect. So always wait for price to touch a 4-hour POI. Not necessarily, man. There's all kinds of moves that you can take within these legs, right? That's what I'm getting at. There's all kinds of moves, but you want to focus on the pivots, right? You want to focus on the pivots. Otherwise, you're going to get caught in the ranges within here, and you don't want to be in the middle of structural legs. Cool? Light bulbs, hopefully. All right, so everybody good with this model? The only difference, like I said, if this exact same thing was upside down, okay, and same thing here, the only fucking difference that we have is our take profit. Take profit here is going to be the middle of the structural range. Take profit here is going to be below the weak low. 1 for yes, 2 for no. And let's fucking move on. Okay. Last model. Same fucking thing. You notice this? Like, there's nothing unique that we're doing here. I'm a boring ass teacher because I don't really know how to trade anything but this, to be honest with you. There's all kinds of fancy strategies that you can use. This one works. This one works really fucking well. You just got to be patient. In this example, we've had a bearish M15 change of character, tick / order flow shift. Okay. Once we break supply on the way up to the extreme POI from a relevant demand level. Okay, once we break supply from a relevant, we're just assuming that this is a relevant demand level. Okay, maybe there's a flip zone in here, whatever. So again, just take this with a grain of salt, just understand the concept. Okay, once we break above, an order flow is now basically against us because we've essentially run this. Okay, we've run a supply chain. Basically, our supply chain has failed, but we're still assuming that we are going to continue this way because we have all sorts of other contributing factors, higher time frame supply. We're going to use this as inducement into the extreme. You know what I mean? This is not to take into consider or have liquidity concepts taken into consideration. It is about just having more of a granular understanding of what this concept is. So is everybody okay with the fact that if we come down, okay, we create a supply chain, we break the supply chain, we run this as inducement, we are still running this as a pro trend move, but we are against order flow? 1 for yes, I'm understanding. 2 if you have a question. 1 and 2. Cool. So go ahead and ask your question.
All right, like you said,
Start with EG.
yeah. So like you said, market breaks. Market goes into the higher time frame POI, gives you that 15-minute chalk to the downside, gives you that inducement. Now it breaks that inducement. Are we still waiting? We're waiting for the 1 minute inside that POI up there to shift.
Good question. So within something like this, when you are counter order flow, typically what we're going to be doing is looking for a refinement within here to look for a 1 minute chalk and flip that we can then confirm with the 5 second, right? And furthermore, what we're going to be doing is if we don't hit the refinement, the extreme refinement that is in our flow chart model, we're going to need to see another 15-minute chalk to be able to get us in. And that might come from like a little demand level in here to realign, come back up, and then come back down. Does it make sense?
Yeah, got it.
Cool. Thanks, bro. Good question. Mike, you got the floor, brother.
Hey, man. Just like I said, when the supply chain fails, we can only take a pro trend move as long as price comes into a valid supply area that sits above the supply chain.
Yeah, so you have to remember, like technically, you know, structure is here, right? But the idea, like, and this is where it's like impossible to really encapsulate every aspect of trading. Ultimately, this is the structural high, right? And this is the structural low. Agreed?
Yeah.
So
Agreed.
all we're doing is assuming that order flow could temporarily switch from here, and we can still capitalize on this trade as a pro trend model, just against order flow.
Okay. And for that move, it has to be a valid POI though, right?
Of course.
Like say there was, okay.
Of course. Yes. You're talking about this one right here?
No, I was talking about the where the sell would be. Yes, or that one.
Oh yeah, no, this would have to be like yeah, exactly. So all of this is just like to introduce the concept. All of these things need to tick boxes with our POI flow chart, all that other kind of stuff.
Gotcha. Thanks, man.
Okay, buddy, no worries. Okay. Yeah, this should help things out quite a bit. I'm definitely, I mean, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I'm pretty fucking lazy when it comes to drawing out schematics and stuff like that. Dave's definitely my inside man for that. But yeah, I'm going to make an effort to kind of get these things out a little bit more often. I think this pretty well puts the whole strategy to bed, if I'm being completely honest. Like we don't trade anything but these 4 models. There's nothing else that we trade. We are reversal traders. If you want to take a continuation pro M15, like this is it. This is all we use. There's nothing more that we really utilize. So give me a sec. I just need to fucking turn my volume up, and I don't know why it's. Give me a second, guys. Where's my Razer Noma Chromas? Weird. Okay. 2 seconds. Audio settings. Output volume. Okay, go ahead, Alex.
Hi, Jason.
Hey, man.
So actually, you are saying that if price reverse from an unrelevant POI, then we'll still treat this cell as a pro trend, yes? Even if it,
Pro trend, pro
even
order flow.
yes, so we don't consider this a structure break.
That's right.
Okay,
Are you good?
yeah.
Awesome. Go ahead, Forex bag.
All right, man. Can you hear me?
Sir.
How do I? Okay. Can I get? How do I get the annotate tool?
Okay, so if you go over to your toolbar, I think there, oh God, I can't remember how to do this because mine's already up. If you go over to the toolbar where it basically says like mute, start video, participants, there's like something further on the right-hand side that you can hit like a little drop-down menu, I believe. Go to the top and click the view options, view options. So within that toolbar, there should be something called.
Oh, I see. I
It'll
see.
say annotate.
Okay, so I have a question with this part right here. Let me show you.
Yep.
So this part right here.
Yep.
So when price goes into here, right? Can we set a limit order right here, or would we have to wait for a change of character
You gotta
and then?
You got to see that
Set the
change.
limit.
You got to see the change of character, right? So, and that's one thing that I noticed with you, which is totally cool, man. And like probably in previous strategies, you were able to sort of. We always look for confirmations, and that's kind of like the sauce within this sort of strategy. Is like you can set a limit here, but we can agree, or we maybe agree to disagree. But this is called a risk entry, correct?
Right.
So we don't want to take risk entries. We want to but if you don't want to take risk entries, what that means is you need to acquire some patience, right? You got to be able to watch these things develop, which is, a feat in itself. But ultimately within here, we need to be looking for the additional confirmations that are provided within the flow chart.
So we would drop down to like the 1 minute, look for like
Chalk.
something like this, right? Just found the chalk, and then
Yep.
wait for price to come up here into a refined area,
Exactly.
and then set the limit here, right?
That's right.
Okay. I see.
Cool.
Good. Thank you.
Confirmations, man. That's like, and you know what? You like, if it means that you miss out on a trade because your confirmations aren't delivered in here and this thing fucking runs, too bad. You know what I mean? Like, you're not here to guess what's going to happen here. You're here to watch for what typically happens so that you can capitalize when it does happen. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Hold on. Can I ask one more real quick?
Yeah.
So with finding change of characters, are you able to like mark candlesticks as highs and lows? And then refine it?
Typically, I don't like to do that. I like to usually have some form of like interaction zone. So if it's a supply zone like this, we push up, create demand, right? And then the demand fails. Like ideally, I want to see something like that.
Okay.
Cool.
Cool.
Thanks, buddy. Okay, give me a second. I'm going to go through the, what else we got here? Good question. Okay. With all this said, are you still looking at the new H4 Pro Trend model you mentioned a while back? Honestly, like, yes, it's something that I've been working on for a couple months now. I don't feel comfortable teaching it just yet because there's so many specific elements that I need to sort of write out and have within the model itself to be able to like consistently teach it. I don't have the consistency with it yet. Yeah, it's going to come out. You guys, even if you're done your 90 days and you don't resubscribe, I'm going to email out the new flowchart model with like a description on how to use it. It's not at a level where I'm confident just yet. I've had a lot of really good trades with it. Some of the highest RR I've ever had actually, but I'm not consistent with it. And I'm not going to put that out there for you guys to get all twisted up in something that I haven't absolutely perfected. So I hope that's reasonable. And I don't really have, as much as I want to get it out soon, the bottom line is until I have actual real live examples of it and able to actually trade it in real time, I'm not going to be able to put it in the actual flowchart models. So I hope that's okay with you guys. Best interest in mind for both myself and you guys. Go to the top and click view options. Okay, only shows the move your mouse, blah, blah, blah. PA could easily wick and melt, no much paying greater than that. Yeah, man, and it happens, right? So it's just, this is part of it. Doing your homework will help with missing out on of moves. You will see how many moves there are a month. Won't have so much FOMO. Exactly. Never rush anything for sure, man. Sounds good. Awesome. So guys, I mean, HTF sort of narrative for the week, obviously like a quick recap. It's really simple. I mean, we're expecting some form of a pullback phase to happen at some point, whether or not it's this week, whether we just melt through the weekly lows, like nobody knows for certain. We do have a POI that I'm interested in watching for a pullback. We also could potentially come back into 4-hour highs and look for some more criteria there, right? So just remember, playing the edges of the market it's the absolute best way to go about anything, and looking for these exact schematics. Here, pro trend, here, counter trend, pro trend with the M15. If you focus on just these two moves right here, this pro trend move and this counter trend move, I promise you, man, like I don't think you guys understand how powerful this is. Looking for stuff within the center of the leg, stay away from it. If you miss this trade down here, guess what? You got the pro trend move coming up right after. If you miss this one, you got the counter trend one move coming right after. If you can't go 3 days without a position opened, like I said, man, you might have a serious dopamine problem. So you just remember, like, these things happen so many fucking times per week, so many times per month. Trust the process, build your fucking case studies. And I'm going to tell you, you're going to develop a lot more confidence with waiting for your actual criteria to be met. So I'm going to leave this off like this. Are there any closing questions? Yeah. How's everybody feeling after this call? I feel like I had a slight level up after this Zoom call. Really helped clear things up. Cool. Awesome. And you know what, man, I've been I've been trying my best to make this as easy as possible. And you have to understand that, like, I'm new to teaching too. I've only been teaching for about 8-9 months. It's going to get better every single time I deliver a Zoom. I'm going to find new ways to do this. And the only way for me to be able to grow as an educator to you guys is to get feedback. So, man, the more feedback you guys give me, the better I can get. So, been following since the very beginning. So grateful for your work. Awesome, Jamie. I remember, yeah, man, you were one of the day ones, to be honest. You were back when I think I had like 500 people following me. Yeah, crazy. Strategy has evolved. I've evolved a lot. You guys have all evolved. Let's just stay in our lane, man. Keep proving people wrong. It's all you got to focus on. Keep proving people wrong, including yourself. Live Zoom calls help much more than watching. Oh, dude, 100%. And you know what? It's so funny because, like, there's 12 people in here. This is it's 10% of the community in this call right now. But people got shit to do. I get it. But at least we got something. So like I said, expect a little bit more of an in-depth sort of breakdown on these guys, or sorry, not even in-depth, but more of like a refined breakdown on all of these models. I'm probably not going to do it tonight. If I'm being completely honest, I'm going to be spending some time with the girlfriend. But yeah, like probably tomorrow during the day, I'll get these sort of dotted away. Use your resources, guys. Hit me up anytime if you want content suggestions, specific things that, maybe if we just had a video on this exact example, I'm happy to do it. And if I can't, Dave will. And if Dave can't, we're going to have a couple coaches joining this week. I can't say who they are just yet, but I'll be happy to get somebody to make a video about it. So we'll be open to do the live session Zoom calls on different days for the week. So Thursday is the day that it works out best because, the way that my gym schedule works is that's my active rest day with the split that I'm working right now. So I only go and do cardio for an hour, and for me to get back, that's the only day that I get back on time to actually like trade New York properly. So as it stands right now, chances are it won't be any other day but Thursday, which is not a huge deal. But yeah, like once, yeah, I just I don't have another day that I can do it right now. That's the whole reason I did it that day, is that's when it fits into my schedule best. So yeah, I'll look at possibly shuffling some stuff around, but like, or maybe even trying to throw in like an extra one, like for an hour or something like that, when I actually have some time to just spend glued to the charts. But typically I just set like alerts on POIs, man, and I'm like carrying on with my day. So I got shit to do every day, just like anybody else. So yeah, that's pretty well it. Hopefully everybody's feeling pretty good after this. We're going to work on simplifying. Okay, simplifying. I'm really going to strive towards bringing stuff together with just, yeah, a more simplistic approach. We're probably going to rebrand a bunch of the stuff within the actual community in the next few weeks, kind of shave some of the old stuff and put some new stuff in. So yeah, we'll keep you guys in the loop. But yeah, hopefully you enjoyed this. Have a good rest of your weekend. Enjoy your long weekend. Take some time for yourself. I know I always say it, but man, I mean it. Don't forget to take time for you, because this is just going to end up being another job, and you don't want that. So I will catch you guys sometime probably. I'll make an announcement, but no narrative tomorrow either. I'm not trading. No need for a narrative. You guys got the higher time frame perspective. I am probably not trading until we hit that demand POI anyways. But yeah, it's a holiday. So just FYI, anybody who is in this call right now, I will not be doing a narrative tomorrow. And I will put an announcement in the channels just because it's Easter long weekend. So yeah, we'll catch you guys tomorrow. I will probably do a live Q&A. Well, not probably, I will do a Q&A with you guys at 12. But other than that, yeah, no narrative for tomorrow. So if you guys have some questions over the course of the next day or two, make sure that you jot them down, and I'm happy to answer them tomorrow. So have a good weekend, and I will see you guys tomorrow.